when you're searching for a concept, it really has to be important to you. You will not be able to make decent art or do anything well if you're not passionate about it. As I was starting at the U and started to do this conceptual stuff, I had just been diagnosed with clinical depression. I wanted to explore it. I wanted to make work about depression because I knew that that was important to me.
We were tight-knit boys, brothers in more than name.
I would do some funny things like talk about how depression is a very biological thing, where there's things that, you know, it's not all just in your head. There's literally biological crap happening that impacts, and so I would make work about that and work about how this biological effect is something that we end up doing anyway. That's a very primal thing, and so I would, you know, I made like pictures of me sitting on the toilet, which was humorous, because honestly, like, pictures of anyone on a toilet is funny, except maybe if you're Donald Trump. That would be hilarious. It was also a way to like throw in the humor into like something that could be really kind of a downer, right? Because it's really easy to make work that's just downers. Like, it really is, but it's hard to make work that's like funny and also positive without it going into like the absolute cliche. You know, it's easy to paint a cabin in the woods and make it look idyllic. It's not hard, and it's also not that interesting. Eventually, I got to the point that I started making work about suicidal thoughts. That went well. I got some really, really good stuff out of that, but I could only keep it going for about 2.5 months before it started to really have a negative impact. I remember sitting down with a professor of mine during spring break. I shot her an email and said, hey, like, you know how you were worried about like me doing suicide and stuff? Like, yeah, it's time for me to make a change. And so we sat down and we talked through several different things. But in the end, it was also a very, very good thing, because it finally set me on the path to making art about stuff that was both positive and significantly more interesting to me. My work is ultimately about man's relationship with God, and how that's a lot more complex than what you would normally think, especially when you're showing it in a visual setting. To define visually man's relationship with God, it's definitely a lot more complex. It's everything from like the pilgrimages that like Islam has to Mecca, and you know that huge process that takes 4 or 5 days to like actually go through all these ritual behaviors. So you have like these like big grand moments. You have things like the Sistine Chapel, and then you have the spirituality of the Quakers, where they're sitting there, and everything from washing dishes to digging your garden, you know, all these like mundane things that we just do over and over and over again, how all of these are just as important in building that relationship, and all that kind of goes into it. I think, especially because I'm talking about spiritual aspects, I think I will, at least for a while, be defined as a Mormon artist rather than an artist who happens to be more Mormon. And that kind of bothers me, because especially when you look at contemporary LDS art, or even not necessarily contemporary, like LDS art, anything like besides their architecture, in general is pretty bad. A lot of my art as a whole is influenced by things that I don't want to be.